start before you're ready. Catch you off guard. How are you doing?
I am doing fantastic. You?
Fantastic. Yeah, I'm doing pretty good.
I always sound so fake good. I feel fantastic. Yeah, I'm good. It was a good day. I was doing work, cleaning the kitchen. Woohoo. Uh,
The
long time no
sunshine.
see.
Yeah. We're spent a weekend up at Kipling's place here, so but
Yeah,
the sunshine and warm weather helps the spirits as well.
it does. It does. Yes, it's been almost less than 24 hours since we saw each other. So and being the pseudo Luddites that we are, we can't figure out how to record together. We can only do it one way, and so we have to no.
We had more important things to do while we were in the same space. We had to play Dungeons or not Dungeons and Dragons, Double Dragon.
Double Dragon. Yes, priorities straight here. Priorities. So, you gonna introduce yourself first tonight?
Sure. Since you're taking a drink there, my name is Andrew. I am Deer Run Forge, the blacksmith of our brothers in smithing duo, and my nugget tonight is just past Easter now. I absolutely love gummy candy. It could be jelly beans. It could be like any gummy type thing. I'm in. The chocolate, I could take or leave on any given moment, but the gummy stuff, I'm
Okay.
in.
Okay. Then here's a question, because our go-to when we're together is Skittles.
Skittles, yeah.
So is Skittles a gummy candy? What is Skittles?
So gummy candy to me is something you chew. It's a chewy thing. So Skittles to me are a chewy thing.
You chew chocolate.
Yes, but it's like a melty thing too. You know what I mean? Like as opposed to like a hard or soft candy. Yeah. Anyway.
Okay.
So yes, I consider Skittles into the gum, but like I would also 100% take like some gummies. I'm down.
No, that's fair. I'm just curious as where they fit, because when you and I do any kind of show, because we don't only do craft shows, we do music shows sometimes, and we always have Skittles. So
that is true.
Just wanted to know where they fit. Well, My name is Kipling, and I am the coppersmith, tinsmith, half of the Brothers in Smithing. And my nugget is I am better at pool than Deer Run Forge.
Oh, yes. Actually, I was thinking about that.
Billiards, pool, and we were playing on the weekend, but it is slightly unfair. I grew up with a small size pool table in my basement when I was a kid. My grandfather actually owned a bowling alley and had some of the smaller size tables. And then when that business closed down, we got one of the tables and it was in our basement. So I did play a lot of pool as a kid.
Which also I will add to this whole thing that Kipling's has a pool table in his basement right now as well, and could be practicing. And currently, I'm looking at the computer that is sitting on his pool table. It becomes, he has a cover that he puts over top of it that becomes one of his main workbenches. So sometimes we can't play pool. Yeah.
The only time the cover comes off and it is actually not a workbench is when you're up. Yeah. Pretty much the only time. So, I don't actually practice. I'm just better than
you. So we compete over a few things, including Double Dragon and pool. And our coppersmith, tinsmith, blacksmith stuff is not any different. So we challenge each other to make something new and different every month, post it on Instagram to see what our viewers like, and then talk about it in this podcast. Our adoring audience.
Our wives and mother-in-laws and
yeah. Last one was our geocritter, our animal mashup. And I'm a little bit perturbed, but you want to explain the goings on?
You were crushed in the mashup? Yes.
I was not crushed. I was not crushed.
I was playing the punning thing here. You were mashed up.
Oh, okay.
See? I was trying to be, witty. Apparently that failed. Yes, we had to combine at least two different critters to make something never before seen and never before come up. So like no mythological creatures like hippogriffs and griffins and all those lovely things. I used three. I made a bat-eared falpicore and
That was a Falpian.
falpion. Sorry, yeah, sorry, bat-eared falpion. Sorry, and I flew away with the competition.
I think I made
Oh,
a
you're not
koala
getting
spider.
any of my puns right now.
No,
Oh,
no, no, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. They're weak sauce anyway. Um, my koala spider. I think the problem is I went with spider, and people were like creeped out by. They were like, yeah, the other one's better. But the bat ears, it just had tall ears. The falcon, it was like owl blob shaped, and the scorpion tail I'll give you. But like it was a blob shaped bird with big ears.
there's no bitterness here at all. I, I will.
None at all. None at
There
all.
is. It was more bird of prey than specifically a falcon. I will, but just the word falpion worked really, really well. And the bat ears actually were really cool when you actually look at them close up. Now the pictures didn't show it very well, but they're very well shaped and set up. And actually, I'm quite happy with how the ears turned out. I know you like to bash them, and your son likes to bash them. And then, of course, we went to the zoo. Our families went and met up at the Toronto Zoo, and then your son Sash talked my bat ear falpium, and decided he could make a better one than I could. So I believe he is currently making one out of clay.
He's currently trying to make
Yeah,
one out of plasticine and wants to post it on Instagram and challenge you to a bat-eared
absolutely.
falpion.
Bring
Yeah.
it on. I'm okay with being beaten by an 11-year-old. Uh,
Well, stay tuned because that one could come out shortly too.
yes, but yes, that challenge went to me. It wasn't a runaway by any stretch of the imagination. I think the final tally we were separated by 4 votes. So, and it brings our overall totals up to 21 wins for you, 20 wins for me, and we're tied by 4. So we're staying neck and neck.
Yeah.
And the other thing we should say is it also wrapped up our season 1, our first complete year of podcasting. And this is the first official podcast of season 2.
Season 2, nothing has changed. We're still doing the same thing, but
Yeah. Yes, there has been a change. The 1 has changed
to a 2. Yes. Yep. That is actually when we go to post the thing in the little thing we posted, and it does ask which season it is, and it just defaults to 1. So I will have to change it to 2 now. It's kind of exciting. It's the first time I would have done that. So, woo! Season 2. Starting season 2 off with some recycled copper. Today, actually, we're recording on Earth Day. And in honor of Earth Day and the idea of consuming less and doing our part, we're using some recycled copper from one of your friends' houses. You just
Yes,
pulled it out of
a
the
friend of mine
walls.
did a big remodel and had to rip out some copper piping and do some new stuff. So he gave it to me. Hey, I like my friends. You haven't given me any recycled copper yet. Wait, I gave you recycled. How'd that happen? And then we had to take these chunks of pipes and pipe fittings and that and turn them into something related to a candle. Just we figured, with Earth Hour, yes, I know it was last month, but sort of linked with Earth Day, it felt apropos. How'd it go?
I don't actually. This should have been my nugget. I hate plumbing. I'm pretty good at I can fix a lot of stuff. I can do a lot of things around the house, and I can make a lot of things work. I call it more, MacGyvering stuff together than it is fixing, but it works. I hate plumbing. Always hated plumbing, and just like the old solder on some of the joints and trying to get them to sit together and like heating it was so many nightmares. And then all of that, of course, has to be mine didn't have to be watertight, but basically what I did is I hammered out a bunch of the pipes, created some feathers, big ones in the back and little ones in the front. Use some of the joints and everything at the bottom to create like an S-shaped base, and then all of the scraps from all of the pieces left over, I put in my forge and melted down into a big blob, and then I smashed it with a hammer and turned it into. Thought you'd like that, and then created that as the platform for the candle to sit on, and all soldered together. So I used uh, like every single piece of copper that I was given. I don't know if that was part of the challenge, but that's what I did. And the feathers in the back are taller, and I've polished them so they are kind of shiny. And the feathers in the front are small little down feathers and kind of create more of a shadowy texture thing in the front. So
Mhm.
I'm pretty happy with it. And yeah.
Nice. So realizing that you might have lost to feathers over your spider last time, you decided to put feathers into your this month's piece, hoping for the win.
The more we do stuff, the more I realize that I do actually have a style or an aesthetic or something like that. Like you were on me a while ago for doing trees, and like you can't stop doing trees. And because I think I won three challenges in a row with a tree or something, and you were all
Yes. Yeah. You did a bunch of trees.
and then I have, like it definitely has a very naturey type theme. And when I get to my woe or my shop wonder, I'll explain a little bit more about the feathers because it all plays into that, and I wanted to use my new tool. So
And they look good. And copper really lends itself to doing feathers. I've done a few feathers myself, and they look really nice. So, and your shining up of it looks really good. It reflects the light nice, and the feathers, they're not flat. They've got some like organic curves to them, so it's getting some nice play. Yeah, you have a beautiful piece. I really like it. It's not as good as mine, but it's really nice.
so what did you make then?
So I went a little bit different direction than you in a couple different ways. One, I didn't use all the copper that we were allotted because, of course, we were allotted essentially the same amount of copper. And then I made mine so that you, unless you know it came from copper pipe, you wouldn't know it came from copper pipe. Like yours, your base, obviously copper fittings. Mine is not at all like that. So I had ended up making. Um, this is interesting. I don't know how to describe it now. It looks like a sun that has two doors that open, like it's a little box that has a sun that's chased into it, and then the doors open from the middle, and they turn into little two flaps, and then there is a flap on the inside that flips down, and it holds a tea light, and then you can light the tea light, and it reflects a little bit of light, and it has some nice winding pattern on the inside of the doors. And then it closes back up and hides the tea light. It's almost like a Murphy bed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
It's got
yeah.
that kind of like you open the doors, comes the candle, and then you can put it. And it's got some nice chasing. And then I antiqued mine with the liver of sulfur because I really like that sort of older copper look to it. So it's got a bit of shiny, so it has a bit of shine, not as much as yours. But yeah, and it looks, but it's hard to describe. It's I put some barrel hinges in it. So that I think was the new thing for me. I haven't really done barrel hinges before, and this one actually has three of them. So that was fun as a learning process. I know you've done it before. Other than that, I'm really happy. I think it looks really kind of neat and different.
It is very different. And it is funny that this is an audio podcast because the whole time Kipling was explaining this to me, he's opening it and showing. I've
Oh,
seen it. I've held it. I was hoping that you were going to put it up to your microphone and like
I'll
ASMR
do
it.
that.
ASMR.
It clicks. I don't know if you can hear it.
Oh, very nice.
There
Very
you
nice.
go. There's the sound. It's a good fidget toy too.
It's a pretty cool. My having held it in my hands. My thing is the candle thing. It does have to sit on something, or the candle would flop down. So I think it needed a catch to hold the candle. And then I would vote for you if it had a belt clip on the back, so it could clip on your like outside shirt pocket. Because then you would have this little like copper matchbook that you could Inspector Gadget down.
It would be really, really cute that way. I must admit. But that to me would be even more impractical because really, you'd have it as a belt buckle. I know you would.
Oh,
Um,
100%. I was actually
I
gonna thinking
picture it
about
actually
commissioning you.
more, like the old school miners, like,
Yeah.
back from the 1800s who had a candle on their hat. Like that's really what I picture it as. But it's just really nice on the mantelpiece, and it's a nice little piece by itself without having the candle come out. The candle's just a fun little woohoo. Because in reality, who's ever going to need one of these? It's cool. It's fun. I love it. Um, I don't know if anybody would ever buy it because, like, who needs this? But it's awesome. I love it. It's like I feel like a little like a kid in a cage.
Yes, you were very giddy about it. I was gonna say if you maybe replace the sun with a Deer Run Forge logo in the front and put a belt
Mhm.
clip on it, I I'd buy it.
You might buy it
I might buy it at a friends and family discount by
at
the
friends
way.
and family. Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
It makes me get it. It's just it's cute and whimsical, and I kind of like that.
any like the barrel hinges you were kind of thinking about like for your gnome doors and other projects and
Yeah, I think like they're not hard to make. Like, a lot of people make barrel hinges. I just never done it before, and they've turned out really, really nice. My biggest concern was like the doors wouldn't match up, and they've matched up quite nicely. So yeah, no, I think they'll be definitely useful. I need to think about how to get them incorporated into the fairy gnome doors. Um, that'll be the biggest trick. Do I attach them? Do I make separate barrel hinges and then attach them on, or do I build them right into the door frame, like cut them out that way? Things to figure out.
yep.
But they're definitely something that I'd like to do more or other hinge styles. Even then, I can start making a few more, little treasure chests or something. That would be kind of cute too.
Oh, true. True.
So
Cool.
there's some potential there.
Yeah.
So there was some learning involved in this one too.
The box actually reminds me of like a matchbook or match holder. It has that kind of feel to it. So again, that whole like treasure chest that could hold matches and candles and stuff,
Yeah,
kind of a little bit nod back to what tinsmiths were doing historically and making candle boxes and stuff like that and match holders and everything. But also modernizing it with both copper and the designs you put on it. It's kind of cool.
absolutely. And one of the things original thought was to put a matchbox holder in here. The real challenge came with due to the dimensions of the copper we have, like because I have leftover copper, but due to the dimensions of the pieces you cut, it was going to be really, really labor intensive to get that in there. If I was to make another one of these, which I probably won't, and do it out of other copper, which I could cut a larger piece, then that might be something you could do. Is it like this hinge that drops down actually has the matchbox and then the candles on top of it. So then you can slide it, the matchbox, strike it, and that you could do some fun things that way.
Right.
But the biggest challenge I think both of you and I found was the constraint of the dimensions of the metal.
Oh, for sure.
Because when
For
you
sure.
cut open the pipe, you only had so much width,
How
right?
did here's my question, my other question for you. I find it a pain in the butt to cut open the copper pipe to actually put the slit in it because if you're holding it in a vise, it's putting inward pressure on the thing on the pipe, and if you're cutting it with any type of anything, it pinches and wants to bind your blade. And an angle grinder, although works great, if there's any movement in it, because it gums up, it almost gums up on copper as opposed to like sending sparks and stuff. The only reason that I was okay with this stuff was it was actually in about a foot and a half sections, so you could clamp one end in the vise, do half of it with this is how I did it, cut it with an angle grinder, flip it around, cut the other half with the angle grinder, and then I have a little hardy tool, like a little Bic anvil type of thing. Like it's basically a pointed cone that's turned on its side, and I can drive the pipe over top of that and open it up. And the issue I had with that is once I annealed the copper to make it flexible, hammering on the end of it mashed the end of it and you're just like, oh. So it was kind of one of these, like, I found it a catch 22 in both situations where I wanted it annealed so I could open it, but also hard so I could hit it with the hammer and not mash it, batty fang it.
Don't buy a fucking piece of copper. Yeah.
And also you want it to hold, like while you're cutting it, you want it to hold without moving, which means you got to clamp it. But in clamping it, you're putting pressures on it in that it wants to close on itself. Do you have any? You've probably
So
opened a
did
few
you
more
end up
pipes than me.
using your angle grinder? Is that what you used to cut it?
I did, yeah.
So I went through a couple things because of the length of it. The first thing I tried the Dremel tool, which has a little mini cutoff wheel. That was tedious. It worked. It was tedious. So I actually just used hacksaw. Because the length wasn't terribly long. Like you're probably as close as you're going to get with my hacksaw. Again, I did the same thing. I clamped one half. I didn't anneal it until after I cut it, and then I was able to cut one half down, flip it around, cut the other to reach it. You can keep it at a not acute angle. What's the opposite of acute?
Obtuse.
Just very low, a very low angle,
Yeah.
and able to, so you're not nicking the bottom as you go. And then I would anneal it afterwards.
Yeah.
And I don't open it very late. Instead of using pointed anvil, like, I'm not sure what this hammerhead is called, but like your big anvil, it's tapered at one end, so you can drive it down. I drive it down a little bit just to open the gap, and then actually I would use my square pan stake, which is just a rectangle on top of a stake, and you can put the open edge on here and start to open and hammer down on the side, so it just starts to flatten it. Because hammering on the end, body fangs the far end.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it was definitely. I cut it when it was not annealed, and then I annealed it before I flattened it and opened it.
I think I did one pipe annealed before I cut it, and then I did one pipe not annealed it after I cut it. And because you can actually clamp it in the vise to cut it harder while it's
not annealed.
Not annealed, yeah.
Yeah, and exactly that's because copper is not, even when it's hard, it's not nasty to cut through. It's not a hard metal. So the hacksaw went through just fine.
There you go. So learning from us, if you're ever recycling copper pipe, cut it first, then anneal it, open it up. Probably on a square piece of metal would be better than my little over the end of an anvil, and then you don't mess up the end of it.
Yeah, so. And I could also do it on the hatchet stake. Sometimes I did it one piece on that just because it was out. The other thing that I find that you could also do it. I can also do it with a pair of snips if it's annealed, because it will actually open up as I push the snips, because I've got one of the aviation snips that are bent, and you can do it that way, but it's not a straight cut. And because of the dimensions of this, I was trying to save as much width as I possibly can.
Yeah.
And if I do it with the snips, it's not a straight cut. So then you have to sort of, retrim the edges once it's flat to make sure they are as straight as possible.
I find shorter pieces of pipe are easier with snips too. If it gets too long, then I can't get it open enough to keep continuing cutting. Anyway,
what I find at that point is that's when you're using your Bic anvil and you cut as far as you can because it's annealed. Hammer it a little bit so it opens, and then you can get a little bit further in, and so on and so forth. But it's a tedious process. I'm sure there's other people going, oh man, this is the best way to do it. If you know a really good way to cut open a long stretch of copper pipe, let us know.
Yeah.
Because
it ain't easy.
I can get better at things.
And then you're left with the certain size. You only have certain width. Our length was about 1.5 feet, or 18 inches was about the length.
About that. How did you find the soldering?
Oh, said I don't do plumbing, and this was all because even on my little S thing on the base, just so soldering all that was okay-ish because they're straight solders. My platform is held on a T joint, and I flattened the top of it, and then had to solder my massive copper that I have my candle on onto that, which means you have to heat up the T joint, which it's soldered on both sides of the. And then of course you get all this, and you're like, okay, the base is it's there's solder everywhere, and trying to keep it clean and everything. Because that was the other part of this is like if I was just soldering this and it's in somebody's wall or in my like I look up and I
You don't have to
who really cares, I'm gonna the next guy that's in here fixing this is gonna go, this guy had no idea how to solder, but he's not gonna know it was me. I don't care. This my name is on, and it's gonna go so it had to be clean, which is the other problem. And then of course I had to mount the feathers standing up straight in the yep. So
Yeah, it's not fun.
basically wanted to fill the whole pipe with solder and then just put it in the forge until it heated up and just call it done. Like it's
Well done. Cool
yeah.
done. See, that's why, with the exception of one of the widths, I needed eighth to a quarter of an inch. Not a lot. Maybe 3/8 of an inch. And that's actually more than a quarter inch. Yeah, somewhere in there. Very, very little. So I had to solder two pieces together. And the thing that was bothering me, I'm like, well, you're going to have this line, this straight line, and that's going to look like, up dog. And, I don't want that. So I actually ended up beveling one of the edges that they were leaving. So I have this nice wavy line. And I'm sure if I worked it really, really hard, you can clean it up so no solder shows, but it's got a little bit of silver going along the wavy line that goes around the back there. You can see it there in my picture. I know the podcast people can't, but that's the only soldering I had to do because I did everything else with the barrel hinges or riveting. And that is one thing I am doing a bit more. I used to solder everything. Now I'm trying to get more and more into riveting because it's more interesting. It's more riveting.
It's way too boring to solder everything. It's better to be riveting.
And there's some stuff that you need to solder and that you can't rivet, and sometimes, and because like the rivets, if you do them nicely, like they can look actually quite decorative. So
you're just trying to copy me and my viral reel from a couple years ago.
I already tried that with the when we did the trivet. I had my little my triveting video. Oh, the video that I wanted to do for this one, that it's close enough to being potentially offensive that I just decided, you know what, I'm thinking about too much, which means I shouldn't do it.
Yep.
I wanted to have a picture of me with my little tea light lit, and then have the video saying like, I don't know why everybody has problems with a snuff film. I blow it out. But again, it's just that edge. I don't think I need to, I can post that on Instagram.
Too many family members following you, eh?
There's just like it's just that it's just a bit too edgy for what I want in my thing. Yeah. But I went back and forth a lot. I'm like, oh, there's lots of different ways you could word it, but I thought that would be funny.
Yep.
But
I would have laughed and seen the humor in it, but
I exactly. And then somebody wouldn't have, and then all of a sudden my Instagram account gets shut down, and then other than smithing our challenges become harder to do.
Yeah.
But
so because I wanted to tell you about one of the wonders, or do you want to do wonders, or do you want to do your eggle?
Oh, no, you started. Go wonders.
Okay. So a while ago, I've actually had it for a while now. A couple years ago, I found a fly press, a big machining fly press, and it actually lives at Kipling's house in his front yard, covered in a tarp, and we use it every once in a while. But I would love to be able to use it more often, but it's so big, and it didn't really have all of the uses that we've thought it could have, and maybe we just haven't played with it enough. But I live in a townhouse in Burlington, and one of the things I do worry about is hitting, like, even with this, I wasn't forging anything, but I guess I did forge the piece of copper, but a lot of it, if I was putting the veining in the feathers, I'd be like ping, 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 and hitting, and just, every once in a while, a little bit here and there isn't going to bug anybody. But if you're
But it's
constantly doing
loud.
it, yeah, it's
Yeah.
loud, and it echoes off the townhouses across the street and ours and up and down the street, and everybody knows what I'm doing. And so I am very conscious to not do it a lot multiple days. If I do it a lot one day, I kind of, you know, do
Trying to, yeah, that makes
try not
sense.
to
You
do
know,
it.
you're trying to be
So
respectful of your neighbors.
yeah. Um, so a little while ago, someone posted on Marketplace a small fly press, and it's I don't know, maybe 14 inches high. Has about a 3 inch throw on it and about a 2 inch thread on it, and I was like, I wonder if that will be like good for texturing and everything. So I purchased it and cleaned it up and got a couple dyes and stuff made up for it, and that's what I use to do all the texturing on my feathers. And again, I'm starting to get used to it and being able to control it a lot better. I used it the other day while I was forging to put some lines into some gnomes for their hats. Um, and it's actually becoming something that I'm like, yeah, I wasn't sure because it's not very strong. You can definitely swing a hammer harder than this fly press can hit. But
Yep.
instead of hitting these feathers 200-300 times each to put the veining in, it was it's dead quiet. You can sit there and like talk with
Yeah.
somebody on the phone and ding doink doink, and it's, I actually was talking to,
Me.
I don't know if I was talking, yeah, I was talking to you while I was doing some of it, and like you can't even tell on the phone what's actually happening, sort of thing. So that's one of my new wonders, and I think that can be, especially for these smaller texturing projects and stuff, can be something that I'm
Absolutely,
going
and
to
that's the thing,
use.
like, you don't need a big swing with the texture, but the anvil's still gonna make a good loud noise with it. And frequently, you don't want a massive swing, like, 'cause you don't wanna cut through the material, and no,
Yep.
it sounds like it's really, really cool. You know, if you ever need a place to store it, feel free to bring it up.
Yeah, 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 I bet.
And again, that's one of the things I find, like, because I have your big fly press, and it could be useful for something like that. Problem is, it's wrapped up and it's way back at the back, because we don't want it to rust. So to get it out, you have to get the actual, I don't know what that bar is. Is that the
Handle,
actual fly
basically the handle,
handle
yeah.
on it? Like it's pretty heavy. It's a big setup to do, texturing. And if I was doing a lot of um, production stuff, maybe, but it's quicker and easier just to pick up one of my texturing hammers and do it here. And I live in the country, so I don't have to worry about neighbors and stuff like that. So I'm glad you've got a nice little one there. I think that'll
And
be fantastic.
And if that big one lived in your shop, I'm sure again it was always set up, and it would be a quick and easy thing. And
Someday, if it's still here when when I build a shop, because eventually I'd like to have some sort of a shop that has an overhang, because that can go inside or outside under an overhang, so it can stay set up. Yes, I could see it becoming really useful walking over and so
you
and so.
could create dies to make your notches, your corner notch thing on that, so that it just clips the.
Ka-chunk, ka-chunk. But again, same issue. If I'm just notching, 2 or 3 sheets, which is generally what I do. I don't do big production
Yeah.
runs. Well, to take out a pair of snips and cut out even 6 sheets with 4 notches each, so 24 notches is still faster than going and getting that whole machine out. Not quite
Well,
as precise.
when you get it all set up in your shop, you can
Oh,
we'll make some dies and
absolutely.
doink doink doink.
Then yeah, absolutely, you start making dies and that's when you start doing more of that. Nice. Well, that is a good wonder. I like it, and it's apropos to our thing. Mine is actually a bit apropos to our thing as well. Mine is a very, very old wonder. It's nothing new. I haven't added anything new to my shop, I don't think, of late, with like tool wise. My wonder is, it's got to be 3 or 4 years ago now. I was looking around on probably Kijiji, might have been Facebook Marketplace, and there was a guy selling copper wire for fairly cheap. I'm like, and instead of actually putting up the picture of the wire that they're selling, which it was obviously a stock photo of wire. I'm like, all right, but it was fairly cheap. So I went and he wasn't that far. He was living in Lindsay, and so I went out, and he had dug up the underground copper cable. I don't know where he'd come across it. I'm hoping he didn't like cut someone's feed of somewhere, but I'm assuming it wasn't live. But he dug it up, and I purchased quite a bit of it. Like it was that thick, several pieces of wire, coiled together, like that braided wire sort of thing. But it was all copper.
Yep.
I think I spent $50 on it, and
Yep.
I swear I have, I don't know, a couple thousand feet, and it's thick gauge wire,
Yep.
and so it's recycled wire, and I use it for all my projects, and it was so much. It was a really, really great deal. I kind of lucked out on the whole thing. It was awesome, and the reason it's a little bit apropos is because that is the one thing that I had that you didn't have, although I did offer you up some wire if you wanted it, is the barrel hinges, the actual, I don't know what the center bolt piece is called. What's the bolt piece called in a barrel hinge? Pin. The pin.
Pin. Yeah.
Yeah. The pin is actually, it's still recycled copper, but it came from that stuff instead of me trying to cut off a thin little strip and filing it down to round. So
Love those finds. The issue you're going to have eventually, like 5 years from now, when you do run out of that copper, you're going to go, I need more copper like that, and you'll never be able to find it, or it's going to be like $1 million to replace, and you're going to go, dude, I used to use this stuff like it was like duct tape.
It's
like
great. I have it all. I have a lot of the stuff, but no, you're right. I'm gonna run out, and it's gonna be sad, and then I'm gonna figure out where can I dig up some underground copper wire and get this not in use.
That would be funny. I'm gonna do some. I gotta dig out my well or something here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you know how people like, before you can do any digging, you have the survey team come in and mark where the wire is.
Yep. You're just not going to do
Well,
that.
I'm going to do that. I'll find someone's address that I don't, that's like gone away for a month, that, call it a survey and then just go and dig up their wire.
Yeah. I just need my property surveyed for wires that's not in use. Is there any old?
That's what I want.
Yeah.
But
after the ice storm, did anything come down? You could just.
Yeah, not that I was able to collect. It was all live, but it was good running around. Actually, the whole pole went down by my in-laws that they had to replace. So they were trapped, not only because they not only did not have any power, they couldn't go anywhere because the road, they're on a dead-end road, had a big pole down. But one thing we didn't mention, going back to our recycled copper, we are posting this Friday on the 25th, April 25th. And so they will be up, post. Please visit Tapley Tinsmith, Deer Run Forge, or Brothers in Smithing on Instagram. And please vote. Just take a look. It doesn't take long. Just tap. You'll see both options up there. Tap the one that you like the best, or if you like Andrew's better, tap on mine and vote, because it doesn't. It's like, I don't know. It's not a pet peeve. It doesn't bug me that much, but I'm like, there's a bunch of people who have looked at it that don't vote. Like, just not.
Yeah.
It's okay. And if you vote for, it doesn't matter. If you're on mine and you vote for his, that's okay too. It's not really about winning and losing. It's about getting people to vote and enjoy and have some fun.
Yep. We've always said we're not offended that you vote for the other person. We're just offended that you don't vote. So
yeah. So April 25th.
If it's past that too, feel free to look at the posts and comment on them. Because we love to hear this. We do this only for bragging rights. The winner only gets bragging rights, and it pushes us creatively, because there's no way that both of us would have gone through the pain and hassle of opening up copper pipe, to make candle things.
Never
If
would have
it
made
wasn't for
something like
this.
this.
Yeah.
All right, you ready for your eggle? Okay,
Uh,
completely.
since it's season two, do you want to just quickly what an eggle is? What we're
Oh, okay. So an eggle is a non-related fun factoid about Andrew and myself. Just to have something out there. You guys get to know us a little bit more. Something to not talk about metal for a minute. And the word actually, it was a word, as far as I know, that my friend and I made up in university um, for random factoid things. So this is our esoteric eggle, is what we called them. And tonight's esoteric eggle is if you could learn to play any instrument that you don't already know. Because you do play the guitar, and you can play the banjo guitar, and you can play the bass, and you can play the boron. You're quite musically talented. Something that you do not know how to play. What would it be? You have all the time and access to whatever you need. What's your instrument of choice?
I think that I would have to go with, because my style of what I normally play with, I normally play for programs where I'm playing for an audience and it's more of a callback type of thing. Um, I would love to learn a bunch of other instruments, but anything in your mouth you can't sing. So I would have to say piano. And I could play keyboard while facing the audience and play a, like a more
Melodic.
melodic tune, and like, do that type of thing while facing the audience and still do it. Um, I'm good at chords and strumming patterns. I'm really bad at uh like
The melody.
riffs and melodies and like single note, like, the single note type of things. It's more of, so mandolin I can play, ukulele I can play, just figure the chords out and off I go.
Yeah. You're stringing instruments and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yep.
But to play classical guitar or fiddle or something, and where it's not, it's like single notes, my brain doesn't work that way, and it can't. Well, it would take a lot of practice for me to get to that
It
point.
takes
Yeah.
more effort.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Oh, piano, eh? That's not where I would have gone with you, I must admit. Because before we started recording, and I told him what he had to come up with for his eggle, he's like, "Are you afraid that we're gonna have the same one?" I'm like, "I took piano as a kid,
Yeah.
so that's not on the list. Not that I can play a couple songs. I'm terrible on piano, but that is not mine. Mine would be the concertina.
Ooh, I could have guessed that actually, but yes, that would be a good
Yes,
one.
it's a nice, small, easy to travel instrument. I love the sound of it. A lot of the music I like to listen to, a lot of East Coast sea shanties, that kind of
Hmm.
music. It fits right in. Um, it's always been one that I would love to pick up. If I ever came across like a cheap concertina, I would probably have to buy it just because I'm like, it just seems like a fun
Now I don't have
thing.
an excuse.
I'm like, I have one. So that is something that I would always wanted to play, is the concertina, and play
Hmm.
some fun little sea shanties and whatnot. Do by Barrett's Privateer. I know it's a cappella song, but I'm sure I could throw some concertina in that.
A little Northwest Passage or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like pretty much any Stan Rogers tune.
Yep.
And
Yep.
for those of you who are unfamiliar with Stan Rogers, amazing Canadian musician, died many years ago, far too early.
Yep.
But some great East Coast music, even though he was born and raised in Hamilton.
I was gonna say local, right just around the corner from me.
Yeah, exactly.
Uh,
So,
when we started, Kipling mentioned we did music stuff together a long time ago. Kipling started trying to play fiddle while I was trying to play
so bad,
guitar. It was the
so
early,
bad.
early. I mean, I was wearing a fake beard, and
Oh,
we were trying to be
so
loggers. It
terrible.
was great. It was great. Yeah.
It was so terrible. But we have, oddly enough, we have played a number of concerts together at different parks, on guitar, bass, boron, the fiddle was in there.
Yeah.
What else? The egg shaker. I don't know. Was
My
that? Yeah, that's
mandolin. Yeah.
the mandolin. Yeah,
Yep.
it was. And we're thinking about doing again this year. So we took
Oh.
a number of years of hiatus with having young children and being, fair distance apart. But last year we did one of our musical programs again back at Bronny Creek at your park, and I think we'll be able to find a day this summer, upcoming summer, to do it as well. So because I do
Cool.
enjoy it.
I
So.
do show do I do musical shows at my park quite regularly. Like our whole Maple Syrup Festival, I did 2 shows a day for, you know, not to brag, but like for like 100 people
Not
every
to
day,
brag,
you
but
know, whatever. You know.
I have
But
a YouTube video of me playing a music song that's had 5,000 views.
it's not even a video of me playing the song. It's literally a picture of me in the song. But yes, it is there. You could look it up.
There's no video.
I'm gonna link to it in the podcast just to
There you
get
go.
like 5,001 views.
Very nice.
Everybody can cringe at my maple syrup song. That's another nugget. Anyway, so yeah, posting this on the 25th.
25th,
And
which would be really awesome. And check out our Instagrams to vote. Vote for mine.
Well, vote for the better one.
I need to tie you because I'm one competition behind. So
yeah, you don't need the win. Mine's shiny. This one's shiny. I'm just gonna take this one.
100%. Yours is shiny. Here's an interesting nugget. I tend to shy away from shiny now because the first competition we did, the very first, we did butterflies.
Right.
And mine, I purposefully made nice and shiny. And yours was more, there's more contrast to it. And you smoked me. And it left an impression. Like the first one, yeah, you doubled the votes. And we weren't getting a lot of votes because, it was the first time we did it, let's be honest. But you still doubled my votes. And since then, I very rarely go bright and shiny. I tend to go more antique looking. So yours is shinier. Mine has movable parts, a little secret compartment that opens up for supplies.
Yeah, but no belt clip.
No belt clip. No belt that's clip. True. No belt clip. You're right.
So the best one will win on this, which means I'll be up 2. I'll win this one.
Oh,
and then
no. The villain will win, and then I will have closed out season 1 with a win and started season 2 with a win.
I don't know. We tied season. In case anyone didn't listen to the recap, we tied in season 1, so we're kind of we both want to start strong in season 2. Next month's challenge, just to preview it, is going to be a trip down the rabbit hole.
Ooh, very nice.
Did you like that? Did you like that?
Yeah. I'm late for a very important date. So we're gonna date ourselves on this one. If you haven't picked up the 2 references, we are doing an homage to Alice in Wonderland. And I think both of us are doing an homage to like the 1970s. I think it's.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah.
We're not doing the freak. I actually haven't even seen the Johnny Depp one, to be honest. Although I started rewatching the Disney cartoon one the other day. It is trippy.
Oh, it is. And each individual part could be it has so many characters. Yeah.
Tweedledee Tweedledum came out. I'm like, I love Tweedledum.
I haven't watched the whole thing.
The Walrus and the Carpenter. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah, the Walrus.
And the oyster thing. I'm like, wow, that so wouldn't fly today.
No. So many characters. Yeah.
But yeah, so we're going to do an homage to Alice in Wonderland. It has to be a garden decoration. But that will be next month, and we will talk lots about it as we go on for that. You want to say anything more about it?
No, that's all.
Okay. Well, I think we have come to the end of our first podcast of season 2.
Okay, bye. Good luck. We'll see you in the next one.
Good luck to you as well. And again, on April 25th, vote for
Me,
Top the Tinsmith.
Dear Run Forge. Me. Vote for me.
All right. Have a good night, sir.